right, here we are with Mr. Dustin Boydell, our local expert on the Abbotsford Canucks. So what we're going to do today for the first time ever, rather than getting together during the intermission, we are going to chat about the Abbotsford Canucks and their season so far. 7 games, lots to digest. So Dustin, let's start all the way back, October 11th. What did you see in that game and what was the result?
Well, I think what we saw was a typical first game from both teams. It was a lot of feeling out, just kind of back and forth. Abbotsford got out to a bit of a lead in the first period. They actually, I think, were up 3-0 at one point, and by the end of the second, it was 4-2, and then by Calgary added one in the third. But it was just kind of back and forth, teams feeling each other out. The shots were even. Um, few sloppy penalties, which almost cost Abbotsford in the third. They had some penalty trouble late, but some solid goaltending coming out of Tolopilo in game one to steal that one. Actually,
We're going to hear that as a trend, I think, through all these recaps here.
I think so as well. Well, yes and no. We're kind of having this weird start to the season where we win one and lose one. And it's been happening right from the beginning. So game one was a nice victory. We saw the important players getting on the score sheet with Klimovich getting a goal and Elias Elias
Yeah, there we go.
Pettersson chipping in on a Nielsen goal. So, and obviously Brandstrom was playing in these first couple games and really helping push the play out of our end up the ice. So
ended up 4-3 over those Calgary Wranglers. And that was in Calgary, right?
yes, we started the season on the road, which is always a little bit difficult, especially in the AHL, because the travel is not the easiest. A lot of bus rides and coach plane trips, I think.
And then they saw them again 2 days later on the October the 13th. Same number of goals. Well, I know technically it was a shootout goal that won it. But Calgary does end up taking that one 4-3 in the shootout. What did you notice in the difference of play between the two games?
Abbotsford really brought it to Calgary in game two. But they ran into Devin Cooley in goal, who stood on his head and stole this game for Calgary. We outshot Calgary, I believe, 48-29 in game two. But we were only able to get 3, one per period, past the Wranglers goalie, and then he stopped all shots in the shootout as well. One positive is Yuri Patera played game 2 instead of Tolopilo, and he also had a strong start to the season. Unfortunately, he did pick up the loss in the shootout. And again, we had Eric Brandstrom finding the score sheet twice in that game, Linus Karlsson getting a goal, and a Calgary native, Carson Twerinski. He scored his first goal of the season as well in his hometown.
That's
so that
fun.
was a cool moment, I'm sure, for him.
I'm sure he probably had family in the crowd, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I would imagine so. He's I don't think he got the cheers he would have wanted playing for Abbotsford, but getting your first goal for a team in your home building would be fun. So
yeah, very cool. So a couple days later, it had a bit of a gap, as you will see through the Abbotsford schedule. They're kind of playing it like baseball, so they're doing series against teams. So the next one went all the way down from Calgary all the way down to Colorado to play the Colorado Eagles. Ended up in another shootout on that Friday night, but the Canucks came out on top in this one. Very low scoring game, 1-1 after regulation and overtime. So things had to be decided in the shootout. Is this clearly a battle of the goaltenders that night?
this one was definitely a battle of the goaltenders. This was game 2 of Tolo's hot start to the season. Stopped 29 of 30 shots. Likewise with the Colorado goaltender. There was no scoring until the third period in this game. The teams were pushing hard, but plenty of shots. A very even game, right down to the end. But of course, we had Tristan Nielsen able to sneak one by in the shootout, and Tolopilo stopping all three Eagles players.
Doing the work in the shootout. You love to see it. So
Yeah,
they,
yeah, definitely. I mean, as much as we talk poorly about the shootout and it maybe needing to go, it's always nice when you win them.
yes, this is true. You'll take the circus point when you can get it.
Always.
So they played the back-to-back nights back at it on the Saturday, October 19th against the same Colorado Eagles. This one was not the same as the first one. Ended up losing 6-1, big loss. And are we saying this score looks as bad as it was, or is it a little less bad than the score shows?
It's it was a close game, right into the third period. 5 minutes into the third period, it was only 2-1.
Mm.
The Canucks did put up a fight, but it just looked like a team of young players that started on the road. It's early in the season. They're not used to the travel, and the travel schedule is hard enough in the AHL. But when you start on the road and then you haven't got your conditioning up, and your second series, if you will, is in Colorado, where it is arguably the most difficult in North America to play sports because of the higher elevation. Whether you're inside a hockey rink or outside on a field, the thinner air still affects your ability to get oxygen into your lungs. And if you don't play in those conditions often, by the end of a 60-minute game early in the season, you could see the Abbotsford Canucks struggling to keep up with the Eagles. And so the Eagles just took control in the third and buried four goals in the last 10 minutes of the game to dominate that one 6-1.
Any bright spots for the Canucks in that one?
Um that one, I wouldn't say there were many bright spots. Yeah, that was a tough one. That one just looked like the team was tired, ready to come home, and get a fresh start. They couldn't really keep their legs under them.
Yeah, it looks like it was Chase Wilder's 200th game as well for the Abbotsford Canucks, which is a big milestone for him down there. Captain of your Abbotsford Canucks.
Absolutely.
Another little break for him. Coming into the next weekend, Friday, October 25th, they're playing against the San Diego Gulls. Canucks end up winning the game 3-1. What can you tell me about what happened that night?
That night, you could tell they were excited to be at home.
Yeah.
They came out flying. They fed off the energy, and they were leading the play real quick into the game. They had 3 shots right off the first shift within the first, I think, 20 seconds. However, just a poor turnover by Brisebois, who was playing his first game. He didn't make the road trip as a veteran player. We had too many players that had 300 plus games played in the NHL on the road trip, so he was waiting to play when they got home, and just an early season mistake, kicked it right up the middle, and it ended up in the back of the net. But from then on, it was all Abbotsford.
Yeah, I think we've been noticing that a little bit from Breezeball this season. Maybe that's the result of not being able to get into those first 4 games they played, but I've definitely noticed through watching the highlights. Seems like he's not quite feeling it yet so far this season, and as a veteran down there, that's kind of what the expectation is the consistency of good hockey and good defensive play. But it seems like he might be struggling a little bit to find his game so far.
Yeah, I think he looks a little disengaged. I think he's at a bit of a crossroads in his career where he sees the depth that we now have on defense. He's getting older. His game hasn't developed to the point where he's a NHL regular, and he's basically needing now to accept the fact that he's likely stuck in the AHL for the remainder of his career as a veteran to help try and teach the young guys coming up. And that, at his age, because he's not that old, would likely be a tough pill to swallow. So we will see how his play progresses, but he's falling rapidly on the depth chart of who you would call up to fill in an emergency injury situation. So he looks a bit disengaged to start the season. Hopefully that turns around here quickly.
Yeah, hopefully once he just gets into playing hockey on a regular basis, he can forget about that and just focus on his game. Second,
Yeah, and
sorry, go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, so just some positives on that first home game. This was Atu Ratu's first game when he had got sent down, and he had found the score sheet right away, which was nice. He was paired with Jonathan Lekkerimäki, who was into his first game as well because he missed the road trip with recovering from mono. And those two look to hopefully continue finding some chemistry as the season continues.
But we kind of see Tocchet rocking the pairs. He loves his pairs, so maybe they're developing that chemistry even before they make it to the NHL level. And then, yeah,
Definitely.
the shot from Lekkerimäki was tipped in front by Atu Ratu. So initially we thought Lekkerimäki got his first one, but it looks like Ratu got a piece of it. So
Yep.
we'll have to wait until later in this summary to get to Lekkerimäki's first. Again, the trend continues. Win a game on Friday, and then Saturday night things go sideways against the Gulls once again. Ended up losing 4-1 to the Gulls. Empty netter goal was in that game, or was it just a straight 4-1?
This one was a straight 4-1. This one was a close game until late in the second. We got into some penalty troubles, and we ended up giving up a 5-on-3, and San Diego scored on both of those chunks of that power play. So this was a game we talked about how Brisebois kind of made a lackadaisical attempt to block a shot on goal number 3, and then goal number 4, Friedman attempted to block, but I think Tolo had a good enough look that he likely wanted it back. This was probably Tolopilo's weakest game of the season so far.
Yeah, playing back-to-back nights
And
too.
yeah, this was his first back-to-back night. He had a really good night the night before. So it's not entirely his fault this game. We were struggling to generate good scoring opportunities. And the San Diego Gulls goalie played very well in the third period. We controlled the play the majority of the third period, directing 13 shots on him, but he stopped all but the one penalty shot that we were received. Chase Waters, he had a shorthanded penalty shot that he scored on in the third, and that was the only bright spot really for the team.
We're looking at some consistency issues, but with a bunch of young guys down there, I'm not all that surprised about it.
Exactly. Yeah, in the AHL too, early in the season, the rosters are so much bigger than an NHL roster. So there's a lot of guys rotating in and out, and there's also guys going up and down from the big clubs. So there's always that time to feel out who works with who's going to rotate in to work with who. So and the rosters turn over so drastically season to season. Like you can have sometimes 10 different players coming into a AHL club at the start of a new season. So it takes much more time to find that consistency than it does at the NHL level.
Well, they decided to make Diwali night a memorable one. This just happening on Tuesday, October 29th. Patera getting the start that night against the Tucson Roadrunners. Canucks come out on top with a big 3-0 victory. What can you tell me about the game? Any standouts? Because we did see two young guys get their first goal of their professional careers in the AHL.
The Abbey Canucks drove the play from puck drop of this game. This was a full 60 minutes of just Abbotsford Canucks controlling in the offensive zone for the majority of the game. They the top line that they're running right now of Jonathan Lekkerimäki, Atu Ratu, and Philip DiGiuseppe are really clicking offensively. Jonathan Lekkerimäki, I think, in his 3 games played, has 16 shots on goal.
Wow.
So he is finding the open areas very well, and his line mates are finding him to generate those shots, and they're also getting shots as well. I think Ratu is right behind him with shots on net, and it's not just shot attempts; these are actually finding the goalie. So there's some very positive signs that that top line is finding some chemistry and can only go up from here.
Now we did see Mr. Pizza Man Phil Di Giuseppe had to leave this game. Then they had actually Mr. Mark Friedman, who we've seen a little bit up here with the Vancouver Canucks, get moved up and actually was playing forward on that top line. Now after that happened, there was a really ugly incident. Can you tell me a little bit about what happened with Mr. Friedman?
Yeah, so with about a little over 11 minutes left in the third, Friedman was making a play. He was driving down the right side of the ice, and he kind of cut to the middle, um, and he lost control of the puck a little bit. And
Mm.
so, as he was trying to find control of the puck, a Tucson player, Onya Bucci, he was coming down the left side and cut across and hit Friedman with a pretty violent, I would say, blindside hit. At the time, in full speed, it did look like a check to the head,
Mm.
but after slowing it down and looking at it, it does look like the initial contact is to the shoulder, shoulder to shoulder. However, it's the path that the Tucson player took to get to Friedman that I really don't agree with. He had clear eyes on his target, and he was behind the play a little bit. So when you look at the replay from the broadcast angle, it does look like Friedman might have seen him.
Mm.
But if you know hockey or have played hockey and you're in that situation where you've kind of lost control of the puck, your focus is on the puck. Yes, you're supposed to have your head up, but when you can't see the player coming, that's one of the blindside hits that the league, NHL, AHL, any league is trying to eliminate when it's an unsuspecting defenseless player. When it initially happened, it reminded me immediately of Matt Cook cutting across and hitting Mark Savard when Savard was completely unaware that Cook was even on the ice. So unfortunately, Friedman hit the ice very hard and had to be taken off the ice on a stretcher. And we hope that he will not be out for too long. However, I would expect him to have some concussion issues and likely be out for a few weeks.
Yeah, that's the danger with those kind of hits. Like you said, he definitely hit his head directly on the ice, and even with the helmet on, I think maybe his helmet came up a little bit too. But the man was out, stretchered off, was taken to the hospital. They did announce today, luckily, that he has been released from the hospital. Will pending further medical evaluation, but it is good news that they didn't have to hold him long at the hospital. So that's at least the good news. At that point, I believe it was only 1-0, right? So then the Canucks go to, I believe it was a 5-minute power play as a result of that. And that's
Yes.
when the young guys took over and got some as the I don't know if you ever watch it. There's the old Mighty Ducks cartoon show where they were literally ducks and they're like, we're gonna do it the good way. We're gonna make them pay not by being bad. We're gonna do it by scoring on the power play, and that's exactly what they did with our Russian prospect Kudratsev coming in with his first goal on the power play. What can you tell me about the goal?
Just really good vision by Kudryavtsev. He really quick puck movement on the power play.
Mm-hmm.
He moves his feet. He skates. He skates like Quinn Hughes. He reminds me of Quinn Hughes the way because he is a little smaller,
Yeah.
and the way he walks the blue line with the puck is really smooth, and he's got the offensive mind, which we all saw with the huge numbers he put up in the OHL last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a perfect shot through traffic. He caught the goalie and the traffic going one way, and he went the other way with the top shelf on the blocker side. A beautiful snapshot. Just a good goal scorer's goal where you could see he didn't want to take a risk taking a slap shot or anything, and he took the extra second to actually make sure the puck got on net, which was nice to see.
Which is huge. Yeah. And then following that up, like we talked about, Ratu getting the tip on Lekkerimäki's shot, taking away Lekkerimäki's first goal earlier in the season. But tonight, it was Lekkerimäki on the rebound, all alone in front, again on the power play, scooping it into the net. Probably the easiest goal he's ever scored. How do you think that makes him feel, getting that confidence of getting a goal scored in his first of his professional career?
He's been working so hard the first 3 games that I'm surprised that it didn't come sooner.
Mm-hmm.
This just looked like a goal where the hockey gods were like, finally, you've been working hard enough, here you go, because it was just a perfect bounce right onto the tape, wide open net. It's If you missed that one, I think we would have been talking maybe a curse or something. So it's it was a great
This is
great goal
cursed.
for him.
That is cursed.
Absolutely. You know, after directing as many shots on goal that he has, it's nice for him to get that first one through, and maybe we'll see that top line really just start flying and burying lots of goals, getting some chemistry going here when they go up against Tucson again here on the 30th.
Cool. So there is the summary of your Abbotsford Canucks so far this season. I mean, up and down as we expect from a young team, but back at it Wednesday, October 30th, the rematch against the Tucson Roadrunners. Like you said, it'll probably be a spirited one with what occurred in the first game with Friedman going down. Should be interesting to see. I did say it was funny to see on Lekkerimäki's goal, Wu came into the celebration circle and just decked a guy as he skated and then casually goes into the celebration. So definitely some juice tonight. What do you expect from the Abbotsford Canucks?
Oh, I expect there to be some fire and some bitter feelings with the extent or the severity rather of the injury that Friedman likely suffered.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there will be some upset teammates, especially Friedman was really doing well working with Elias Pettersson on the blue line and helping him develop his North American game. Pettersson's really been relied on heavily for the penalty kill to start the season, and he's doing a really great job of getting the puck out of the zone quickly. And he doesn't turn the puck over because he's very calm and takes the extra second to make sure that it's a good crisp pass.
Mm-hmm.
And him and Friedman were really starting to click. So that's a really unfortunate loss. And hopefully someone else can be paired with Pettersson and consider and keep that development going. Other than that, I would expect our offense to keep clicking, that top line to keep driving the play and find the net a little more. I would expect that Onyebuchi would not be in the lineup tonight. I would hope that there is a suspension coming for the match penalty he took against us. Interesting little tidbit, though. Aku Ratu,
Yes.
the younger brother of Atu Ratu, plays for the Tucson Roadrunners, and so that's a little mini brother bowl going on in. Oh, I said younger brother, older brother, 1 year older.
All right, Roger.
Yeah. So there's a little mini Ratu bowl going on in Abbotsford
on the same night as the Hughes Bowl in
on the
Vancouver.
same night as the Hughes Bowl in Vancouver. So that's a cool little thing there.
Sometimes the universe is a weird place. It does things like that, doesn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Dustin, thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to do a little bit more of this moving forward, a little bit more kind of podcast style here. We'll be doing some of these videos just to get a little bit of extra information on Abbotsford Canucks and everything going on in the AHL, the NHL. So also don't forget tonight, Dustin will be joining me during the Canucks game at 7:30 against the New Jersey Devils, coming in at the first intermission as well. We'll be doing a post-game chat once things are all done to review everything that occurred tonight.
Nothing is perfect.